Today, let's have a look how we train this straddle press to handstand. So from going from this position, pushing up to our handstand, and then ideally coming back down with control. Now there's a few prerequisites that we should have before we start to work towards this. Ideally a freestanding handstand, because this one really can't be done against the wall. We need to really have some sort of control here in this position, so like a tuck planchy position is going to make things easier, because coming through the transition from that straddle L-sit position through to the handstand, the hip is very low. It's going to be in line with the shoulder, which is the same as the tuck planche. So having tuck planche control, strength conditioning is going to make things much easier. We should have a straddle L-sit, so be able to hold this straddle position. Now it could be with the hands raised like I've got here, which is slightly easier. And then ideally we'd already have a standing press to handstand. But if you don't have those things, you can still work some of these elements. So first of all, let's assess the position. So this is going to tell us whether we have a freestanding hold. So we need to be able to hold this position. Then I'm going to open into my straddle handstand. So as I open there, my feet come forwards and my hips go backwards. My shoulders are going to start to come forwards a little bit, especially as I carry on. Start to round through the low back, through the mid back, and then I keep the feet out to the side and come through to my straddle L-sit. And again, now I'm assessing the straddle L. Can I hold this position? So that's going to tell us a lot of information. Obviously, if you fall somewhere in that, if you fall at the start, halfway down, that's telling you what you need to work on. It might just be a balance point of view, because it's pretty tricky to hold balance and go down very slowly. So sometimes you'll find that someone can actually go up with the concentric, but they can't go down with control because they don't have that balance on the way down, especially to do it slowly. Now, if you can come down with control through that full eccentric, that's perfect. We can use that as your main exercise that's going to work the full pathway. And then we can just do partial range for the concentric. Now, partial range can be done in lots of different ways. What that means is that I just do a certain section. So it could be the top section. So from here, I come down, I go down as far as I can, but making sure that I can still come back up again. So there's my partial range. So I could do that partial range coming down to wherever I get to, back up again, and then add in the slow eccentric all the way down. So that's really cool because I'm working concentrically through what I can manage, and also I'm getting the full pathway on the eccentric. So you could argue you only need that one drill and just need to do enough repetition, enough volume, just slowly increase the strength, slowly increase the range of motion on the partial part, and then eventually you'll just be able to do the full movement. But most people aren't going to have the luxury of being able to jump in straight away at that level. They're probably going to have some bigger gaps, some places where they drop on that eccentric. And that's what we need to now work out. How do we get in there and fill those gaps with strength? And that's where we can look at drills like this. So now I'm going to start here in this position. So imagine my hip has come down this far on the press. I'm in this position. I need to transfer all the weight to the upper back and shoulder and hands, transfer through to my straddle L. Then I could come back to that position. So now I'm filling the gap at the bottom and only working that. I could do repetitions there. I could do the eccentric only. I could do the concentric only. So I could climb into my straddle position and then I could come back to there. Now, if I struggle to hold that straddle L-sit position, I could raise my hands up either on these higher P-bars or boxes or a stack of weight plates, and I can just now bend my knees in that position and then build my time up there, slowly increasing the extension. Now, some of you might not have the flexibility to extend the legs all the way into that position, and we need to work on our straddle mobility while we're training towards the press. It doesn't mean you need to stop the press handstand drills, because I can just do them raised up. So I can do my straddle press with slightly bent legs and go up and down there, but it just means that I'm going to be restricted to train on something that's higher. But I'd be hitting that mobility in lots of different ways for your straddle position. So increasing our range of motion, but also increasing our strength through that range of motion in lots of different positions on our rest periods between our strength sets and throughout the day, and just hanging out in this position more and more. So we slowly increase our range here. So many great exercises to open and close the straddle position that will condition us for the press handstand, and I'll link a mobility video at the end. Now, if we struggle with the up movement, another way of bypassing it, cheating a little bit, is to bend the arms. So we could use a bent arm press to go up. So I'm bending the arms to get myself through. Then I push up to my handstand, but then on the eccentric, I keep it as clean as possible and keep the arms straight. So that one's good if you're already strong in the bent arm press, but want to work towards that straight arm version. Another option to help us with the concentric is to use the band. Now this is a little bit fiddly. Now notice the height that I'm putting the band at. So when I'm stretched out, that's my fingertips touching the bar. I'll demonstrate with the P-bar, so it's exactly the same that I was demonstrating before. We set them up underneath the band, and I'm going to pull the band down between my legs. So just be careful with this one. And then stick my head and my back through the band. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but what it does do is when I go into my straddle position at the bottom, it's going to help me up and around. Now this is the bit we need to watch and be careful with, because getting out at the top is very tricky, and I would suggest you don't go all the way up and just come back down again to there. So we have a few options when it comes to training it. These boxes work really well because there's a lot of safety in this. I can practice that coming down from here, nice and slow. And if I need to, I can fall back onto the box. So that feels much safer than those P-bars. However, you still do need the control, confidence, and balance to work at this height safely, because you could backsplat from there. But I'm a big fan of this box version for doing this transition exercise through to the straddle back, either just like that, or if you can do it from this position to there, and then as back as high as you can for the concentric. So we have lots of options, but in the ideal situation, we would just need 2 exercises, which would be the partial range, coming down maybe to a target or just coming down as far as you can, followed by an eccentric as slow as possible to the straddle L and hold there. Now it's a real fun exercise to work towards because you've got balance, you've got strength, and you've got flexibility. If you'd like a coaching program for the Stalder press, check out my app, link is in the description. If you want to improve your straddle mobility, check out this video, and I'll speak to you in the next one.